What is going on there? I don't know why that cuts off so abruptly, but welcome to another episode of Creating Daily. I'm your host, Billy Thorpe. It is August 9th. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it's August 9th, but having a lot of fun in the studio today, just sitting here creating videos for Amazon, getting ready for the live show, planning podcast stuff, signing sponsors. It's been a crazy busy day, so I hope you've had a very productive day as well. Welcome to the live show. I'm standing up. I know for some of you guys, you're like, why are you even telling us this? But I got a standing desk finally, and actually I forgot about it for like a week. And then I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh wait, I should stand up and stand up for this interview to see if I have a little more energy. Because I need more energy, as you guys all know. But if you're watching, feel free to jump into a chat near you and say hello. I got a very special guest on the show today. Jodi Krangle is going to be joining me in just a moment. She spent 15 years in voiceover, and we're going to talk about maximizing our voice, using our skill set for more than just podcasting, more than just live streaming, more than just voiceover. Like, we're going to talk about the business of your voice. I should have named that the title of the show. But before I do, everyone always asks me about this microphone. This is a Shure MV7 in its limited edition, so it's a white noir, and you can go to billythorpe.live and excuse me, I'm clearing my throat there, and check it out. So you can go there. It's a limited edition. You can pre-order now, and they will ship it out on the 15th. So you got about 6 days until they'll start shipping those. So if you haven't gotten yours yet and you want to be a part of the Cool Kids Club, I know my guys over at Dealcasters have one. My buddy Monty Weaver has one. So we're all going to create this exclusive club where we all get together and just talk into our microphones. And if you're not a part of it, that's on you. But also, if you go to billythorpe.live, that is an affiliate link. It'll take you to my Amazon store, and that is one way you can support the show and support me as a content creator. So high five for doing that and getting a microphone for you. So anyway, I'm going to cut this intro down pretty short. I want to get Jodi in here and start talking about how she has leveraged her voice and how she can inspire us to leverage our voice. So she has a phenomenal bio, and I'm not going to read it to you because I'm not really good at reading, but we'll talk through some of the things that she's been doing in her career for the last 15 years. But I want you to share this episode, like it, save it, share it, subscribe, do all those fun things, because she's going to drop a wealth of knowledge. I jump into a lot of Clubhouse rooms where she's talking about the power of audio, the power of voice, and she is one of the most passionate people in this space about these subjects. So without further ado, drum roll, somebody. Anybody? Oh no, it's just me in the studio. All right, here we go. Jodi Krangle, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just in here talking to myself, looking at a blank wall. It's really fun. But I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're on now. I have somebody to talk to.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm a huge fan. Like I said, I follow you around Clubhouse, follow you around the internet, and see that you're doing a lot of cool stuff. And more than just doing the work, but you're enabling other people and encouraging other people to jump into the space of using their voice, using their creativity, using their talent, all that kind of stuff. So I know you've been doing this for about 15 years. I do want to hear the backstory of how you got into voiceover, because in my opinion, it's a little bit intimidating, but you do such a great job. So I'm curious how you got into it.
It can be a little intimidating, it's true. But actually, when I first heard of voiceover, it was probably 1995, 96. I volunteered my time to read books onto tape for the blind at the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. And that really was tape. It was reel-to-reel tape. So it was quite something to learn the tech as well as to do the voicing. And I liked them both equally as well. So that kind of gave me a hint that voiceover was something I might want to do. But it was also something that I wasn't intimidated by. So that was
Mhm.
nice to know. It actually took a little bit of time, though, for me to manage to make it a career because I was a really early adopter of the internet. So I had a songwriting website online called The Muse's Muse from about 1995 until 2016. And it was around for a long time, long enough to get pretty big, and kind of was my baby for a long time. And through that site, I learned SEO and internet marketing. And that was what I was doing before I decided to give voiceovers a try. And really, the reason I did that was because I got bored. And lots of things happen for me when
I
I
love
get
that.
bored.
Spoken like a true creator, Jody. Spoken like a true
Yeah,
creator. How did
can't
you
help
start?
it.
How did you start your business? Well, you know what? I was just bored of everything I was doing. Even though I was very successful, my music was blowing up. I was just bored. Something to do something else.
Yeah, it was less about, I mean, who honestly, like, unless you're, I don't know, latest flavor musical act of the day, it's really hard to make a living as a
Yeah.
musician. So, the songwriting end of things, I like being behind the scenes. I think that's kind of where the whole voiceover thing kind of took hold because I like being behind the scenes. I don't want to be a film actor or a theater
Mm.
actor or anything like that. So, being able to do this behind the scenes and use my voice, which I really enjoy doing, that kind of really appealed to me. And songwriting in the same way appealed to me for that reason as well, because songwriting is kind of the background of the musical performance, right? You have a good song, then you have a good performance, but you're not the one who's actually out there on stage singing or performing all the time. So, yeah, but it
Yeah.
was interesting.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story because I spent a lot of years behind the scenes as well, and I honestly loved it. Like I really did have a lot of fun. I felt like there was pressure, but it wasn't the same kind of pressure as like being front and
Yeah.
center, being lead singer or whatever. And so now that I'm the lead singer of my band, my podcast. You guys ready?
That's
Hit
what
it.
a
Let's go.
podcast is.
Yeah.
I feel you there, yes.
Yeah, right. Like, let's go, guys. Let's hit it. So when when you're moving into it, were you like studying other people, or did you just start like practicing, recording your voice, listening back? Like, what does that look like? Because like when I started podcasting, like I bet I just studied podcasting like I listen to every style of podcast ever, and just to try to figure that out. Is that the same for you?
Well, I think that it can be. If you really want to go your own route, you can definitely try and observe what's out there. But I think that unless you get actual coaching, it's really not going to help you because you need to know the background of all of this. So there's a reason why there are certain types of voiceover reads that are popular, and it has to do with what's happening in the world. It has to do with like in our everyday right now, people's BSO meters are so high right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't at all sound like you're selling. That's the thing. So if you're going to do commercials or corporate narration or anything like that and actually have people want to pay you for it, it does require acting and it does require being subtle, being real, being able to be enthusiastic about something without sounding like you're overdoing it, like you're working too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that makes sense.
that's big. That's really big. Also, this is a really unnatural environment to be recording where you're supposed to sound natural.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, because and I shared a little bit with you before the show. Like, I have a sponsor, and they send us a script. One of our sponsors doesn't. The other one sends us a script, and I just looked at that thing, and I'm like, I don't even know how to read this. Like, it's all in caps, and so I think it's like my mother texting me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna scream this into my microphone as loud as I can. Like, go get your Mother's Day gift or whatever whatever it says. And
Yeah.
so when I hear someone like you, and I listen to and it does sound like you're just telling somebody a story, or you're just not even. It didn't sound like you're reading at all. And I'm over here like stuttering, like reading my notes off, and I can record like 50 times to get this 30-second piece that I really want to be 15 seconds, but it's just not going to happen. So that's pretty interesting. So step one, if I was going to get into voice, and we'll just use me as an example or someone
Mhm.
watching, and we got, by the way, we got some fans of yours. We got Raphael in the house. He says, "Hey,
Hey,
Billy,
Ruff.
Jody." Uh, we got we got Jim Fuse in the house. Says, "Hey,
Jim
Jody,
and
what's up?"
Chris.
And we got
Yeah.
Chris in the house, and yeah, it is the voice. It's the voice of many. I listened to a podcast. Oh gosh, I'm going to say the wrong podcast. Podfest. I listen to that
Yes.
podcast, so I get to
Yeah,
listen to the
yeah.
voice every week with an intro or whatever the frequency of their show is. Um,
Yep.
so step one, Billy, you want to become a voice actor, go get some coaching. Is that what you would say?
Yes,
And where do
definitely.
I mean, obviously I know you're on the show, so I can ring you up. I know you do that. But if I didn't
Yep.
know anyone, like where would I go? Where would I go, like find two or three and vet them, or how do I vet them? Like what does that even look like?
There's a website called voiceoverextra.com, and it's voiceoverxtra.com. And I highly recommend that website. The reason I do is because it has a lot of the well-known coaches do articles and write articles for the website. And so you'll see that they're offering classes. Some of them are group classes. So what you could do is, rather than do a one-on-one, which can be expensive, you're talking anywhere from, let's say, $80 an hour to 200, $250 an hour, depending on the coach. So that can be very expensive for people starting off. If you want to do a group thing, though, that's probably like $50. You get to read for that person. You may be reading with other people, maybe 8 to 10 other people. So it keeps the cost down for you and everyone. And you can watch it later on because usually they'll record it. And you can try out different genres. So you may want to do commercial. You may also want to do video games. You may also want to do animation. You may want to do audiobooks. You may want to do medical narration. If you happen to have a background in medical and you can say all those words really easily, you've kind of got it made.
Okay, so you just blew my mind there a little bit. I did not realize that there's different, in which I should, because there's different genres of music, of podcasts, of
Hmm.
live streams, all that kind of fun stuff. But I did not realize there's different genres of voice acting, and that makes sense because, and I heard you do a medical ad not too long ago. Maybe I was watching your highlight reel there, and I was like,
Yeah.
I had that very same thought, Jody. I was like, how in the world does she know those words? Like that is such crazy words to be using, but that's something to take into consideration. I guess if I'm trying to get into it to be where I can pronounce it. Well, you know what? So maybe I could do the alphabet book for children because I know I could do that. That's it.
You don't necessarily need to do medical narration. Honestly, I don't do a whole lot of it. I do a lot of healthcare ads. I do a lot of healthcare narrations, but I don't tend to do the heavy medical terms,
Mhm.
those sorts of things. Not usually. So every once in a while, things like Kisqali, I think is what you were hearing. So every once in a
Yeah.
while that will come up, and I'll do something like that. But it's rare for me, but I do tend to do mostly commercials and corporate narration. So a lot of the anthem videos on big company websites that you see, like this is who we are and we're proud, those types of videos that you see on company websites. And I love doing tourism and travel stuff. So lately I've been doing a lot of that. There's actually something out there right now for Visit Alberta. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, they're a lot of fun. It's just that whole anthem idea, that whole um, getting people as excited about something as they are. You know, it
Yeah. Yeah,
showing people. Yeah.
and that's like a tough thing to do, I feel like, because like I said, I'm just reading. I mean, my voiceover work, I'll quote air quotes for people listening, is literally reading a script that a brand sent me for my show,
Mhm.
and I want to crush it. I want to do a great job, but I really just don't understand it. So that would probably be, like you said, step one, go get some coaching, maybe the group,
Yes.
maybe the one-on-one. So is there, like, I'm sure there's some people, there's some people that can just sing, and then there's me. Like, I can't do it. So Like, at what point do people just tell you, like, are there good coaches that'll just say, you know what, this isn't for you. Maybe you should be a hand model. Like, what does that look like?
I it depends on the coach, but yeah, there are a lot of coaches out there who are very good about telling you whether or not you should be pursuing this. But at the same time, I don't think they're likely to tell you that unless maybe you have a speech impediment or you have a problem reading the scripts, maybe, and you
Mm,
just need to get better at reading them. Um, Sounding like you're not reading is another thing that really means that you kind of need to read fairly quickly and be a little ahead in the script.
okay.
So if you're not if you're not used to reading out loud to somebody, it could become difficult for you.
That makes sense. So I should have probably raised my hand more in fifth grade and said, you know what, I'm in. I'll do it. I'm sorry, Miss Bettis. I know you told me. I should have raised my hand more.
You
I'm not
will
going to be
always
good.
find it useful.
Yeah, right. So, all right. So, I love this that you're kind of breaking down for us how to get into this business because I feel like there's probably a lot of podcasters. Actually, I know there's a lot of podcasters I listen to that I just listen to their voice and I go, "Wow, that is." They could just read me a book or put me to
Mhm.
sleep or wake me up or whatever, and they might be missing out on an opportunity for a career, similar to you, or additional income or something of that nature. So
Sure.
once you get into the game and maybe you're doing some coaching or getting coached, and your coach looks at you and goes, "All right, it's time to go get a job." Where do I go to get a job? Where do I go look now?
Well, likely what they're going to tell you before they tell you to go get a job, although you might be able to, is to get a demo
Oh,
because
okay. I
demos,
skipped a step.
yeah, you skipped a step, exactly. So demos are your calling cards. Like the video that you saw that I put together, that is another calling card. That happens to be of work that I'd
Mm,
actually done, but in the case of a demo, it's manufactured. So the idea behind a demo, in a lot of cases, not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, it is to showcase your voice to the best of your ability and to the best of your producer's ability. So sometimes when you do a spot, your voice isn't really front and center all the time.
mm-hmm.
And they may have processed it in a strange way. It made the client happy, and that ultimately is the bottom line, right? That's really what's important. But it may not be something you want to use to showcase how good you are at your job. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, because so you want to put together like this is the A package. Like I'm gonna do my
Yeah.
best. I'm gonna put it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean
So
that's
they
what. Yeah.
manufacture these, right? So what they'll do is they will create a script. A demo producer will create a script for you. They'll talk with you beforehand, find out what you're impassioned about, what you're interested in,
Hmm.
what your background is, and they'll craft scripts for you that will um, hit you deeply enough that your passion for it will come through when you're performing that script. And then they will do a session with you, record your voice, and then they'll produce it all and put it all together as a bunch of segments from different commercials. Let's say if you're doing a commercial demo, or different pieces of a narration, if you're
Hmm.
doing a narration demo. And like documentary work and TV in show narration work is different from corporate narration. They're different genres, really. So that, again, scripts are different, deliveries might be different. There's all sorts of things to think about in this,
Wow.
but having that demo on your website and having a website to showcase those demos is going to let people know that you are a professional, that you know what you're doing, and this is how you would sound on, let's say, a national campaign, or this is how you would sound on a big company's website,
Hmm.
and you can sort of demonstrate that and show people how you might be able to make them shine.
So I love kind of what you said there about these different genres, because I feel like you could generate multiple. I'm not gonna say personalities, but multiple streams of revenue, multiple different industries,
Oh, yeah.
and putting together like you said, certain type of narrations in those different demos. So how often are you, or actually, how many different types of demos do you have? You have one for each niche or one for each genre?
Yeah, mostly I do, actually. I think I have probably at least 6, maybe 7 or 8 on my
Oh wow.
website right now. But I mean, this is over 15 years, right?
Yeah,
They're
that
not,
makes sense.
they've been updated,
Hmm.
but as I go through the years, I find that I want to do certain genres more than others. So I've gotten rid of some, I've added some others. You know, there, for instance, have a policy right now where I don't do long form narration. So I no longer do e-learning or long medical narration or audiobooks or anything like that. I've
Oh,
never done
okay.
audiobooks. I don't want to do audiobooks. That is not something I want to do. But I have a policy where I don't do projects generally that are more than 5 minutes of finished audio. So a 5 minute script, up to 5 minutes, is usually a commercial or corporate narration or something for a website like an explainer or a streaming ad or
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. They're fairly short. I can get them done very quickly and the client has what they need in like an hour. So we're all good.
Wow. So are
That yeah. Mhm.
so when you're producing well, when you are doing your part of the equation, I'm sure there's way more than my brain is thinking about. So are you just delivering raw files? So if someone called you
Yeah,
and said, "Hey, I need you to do this," then you deliver it, they send it to another producer, and they produce the final version of it.
exactly. Yeah. So
Okay,
all I do is
that's
get them
cool.
the raw voice in a clean format. So there's nothing that they have to do to it unless it's to fit whatever video they're putting together. And then I leave the production to them because really they have their own way of doing things. But the sooner I can get that to them, the sooner they can get their project done. And I don't want to be the one cog that's holding everything up.
Yeah. So, and I say after 15 years, you could probably riddle out some of these in a day. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
get pretty
Oh
good
yeah.
at it, huh?
Yeah.
That,
So
that's
in
amazing.
like right now, what's happening with me is like the reason that I did that whole no longer than 5 minutes is because I can do just about anything in probably an hour that I'm likely to get in a day. And that means there are no fires to put out.
Wow.
That just makes my life much less stressful.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing stream of revenue to be able to, I'll say burn and churn for a better turn, for lack of a
Well,
better term. But it's kind of like,
yeah.
to be maximize your time, maximizing your voice, and I love that. I mean, I think that is so, and that's my style anyway of like trying to produce, and I mean, not saying like taking the quality out, but produce,
Mhm.
maximum. Like I only have a certain amount of days, like or hours I can work in a day, and so those hours I'm trying to fill up every minute to make sure I'm the most productive. So that's cool that this industry allows you to do that and maximize your time there. That's pretty cool.
I will say one thing, and that is that most voice actors do not sell their time for money. So it's not generally
Okay.
how long it takes you to do, it's kind of licensing, like music
Oh.
licensing for an ad. So someone is using my voice for a certain amount of time in a certain geographical location. So it could be local in a certain area, it could be regional in a larger area, it could be national, so all over the US or all over Canada, or it could be worldwide. So when I know how long they're going to use it and how many people are going to hear it, that's how I come up with the pricing.
Okay, my mind is where's that emoji where the head explodes? Because that's what I am right now. Like
Yeah.
where's that? I need that to pop up over my head. So you're kind of sell. Is it called like a CPM rate? Is that kind of the
Not
same
really.
thing or
It,
no?
it it has the same idea, but it's not really a CPM rate. There's something called the GVAA rate guide, and if anyone wants to check that out, you can see what the industry standard rates are for a voiceover, and it goes from television, radio, streaming audio on like Sirius XM or Pandora or iHeart or pre rolls on YouTube, or just being on the company website, which is non broadcast, possibly use in social media, so not paid. But the minute that something is being paid to be pushed out there, that's telling me that they want to make money from it.
Hmm.
And if they're there to make money from it, then that's licensing. That's, me asking them for a piece of that pie.
Yeah. No, I love this. I think this is great because I did not know that. I thought it was more of that one off project price or hourly or minute seconds or whatever. So
Yeah.
this
By
is awesome.
project,
This is great.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
By
mean,
project, it certainly can be a one-off. I mean, non-broadcast, as I was saying, when you're talking about things that go on a website or go in social media and are not paid to be promoted further, that is non-broadcast. Usually there's a buyout for it. It just sits on a website for however long
mhm.
they want to use it. And that is usually a one-off, like per project rate. But when you're talking about broadcast and advertising and streaming media and all of that kind of thing, then it gets a little more complicated.
Yeah, this is why you need to hire a coach. If you're interested, you need to hire
Yes.
Jodi. She's gonna walk you through it, hold your hand, tell you
Well,
all the
I am
tips
not a
and tricks.
coach. Just to
Oh,
let people
no,
know, I'm not a coach. I
no
do not do
coaching.
coaching, but I can point them in a good direction if I
Yeah.
know what their goals are.
Well,
Yeah.
follow her on Clubhouse. She does quite a bit of coaching in there and helps a lot of people. So make sure if you're not on Clubhouse, be sure to follow her. Follow her podcast as well. I'll just go ahead and promote all that while we're here. So this is amazing, and I'm sorry. I know you probably answer these questions every day, all day long from people, but I'm
It's
like such a
okay.
novice. I'm like, this is so cool because I do use my voice to make money. I do use my voice to create, and so
Mhm.
this is another way of doing that. However, it is just another business to learn, a business to study, a business to a craft to become good at. So I love that
Mhm.
you're breaking this down and giving us the real look at it, because it's really easy to say, yeah, you should start voiceover and you should be a voice actor. It's so easy and you can make lots of money. But you're giving us the real raw experience here. So I love it. So we get a coach. Coach says, cool, go make a demo reel. We make a demo reel. Now, what is our next step of this? What do we do with this demo reel? Do we start cold calling or cold emailing, dropping Dropbox files? What do we do?
You probably could if you had some information. LinkedIn is a really good place to look for people who are specifically in the genre that you want to be promoting yourself, because that is a business network, and people are assuming that if you contact them, you are a business.
Hmm.
Definitely have a website. You need a website to have those demos living on, and you need to have some kind of indication of what kind of a person you are, because people work with people they know, like, and trust, right? So you have to have an opportunity to give people a place where they can get to know you a little. And once you've figured that out, then I mean, you start small. You start where you live. Start talking to local businesses. Start talking to everybody you know in your life. Who just tell them what you're doing. I'm doing voiceover. If you happen to know anyone, you can go to my website, have a listen, and look at what I'm doing. And yeah, and it's amazing how many people you can reach in just that way. But if you offer, let's say, to do a voiceover for like a local charity or something like that, and you may not charge anything that time, but you may charge a little bit, or they may give you an honorarium or something like that, and you can get in with them. Maybe the local chapter uses you for something, and then the national chapter comes and asks you for something. You don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's good advice. Well,
yeah.
and I love it because that is small business advice. Like if anybody's listening to this and you're like, because this is a small business, and I love it that and I know that you have a lot of talking points about being a small business owner and being a solopreneur,
Mhm.
and everything you're saying is every way I've ever done a small business is to go with the people that know you, and just start telling people, and you'll be amazed at how they'll support you. And I think that's the
Mhm.
key to it. And when you give, like you said, like go find a nonprofit, go find a charitable organization, go find somebody who another small business, and just like do them a solid, and they're going to be your biggest promoter, especially when that voiceover comes out or that work comes out. So um,
Yeah, there's
I love that.
something I wanna qualify, though, with that,
All right.
and that is that the industry rates are on that GVAA rate guide. So if you look for that on the internet, you find it really easy. Those are the general industry rates, and there's a range, so there's a low to a high. And what I would say is, if you're going to give away your work, do it for something you're passionate about. Don't just give away your work because you don't think you have enough experience, because any voice
Oh,
actor
that's good.
who has put out their shingle and said they are a professional voice actor and that's what they're doing should not be giving it away for free.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is great. This is this is great. That's a good reminder for me too. Even as a podcaster and trying to do people solids and do people
Hmm.
favors and help them promote their business. And I just brought that website because I'm like I'm interested to see what it is.
Yeah,
So and maybe even do it, especially like a nonprofit. I know I've done stuff for nonprofits, and they'll go, "Hey, we'll provide you a tax, a tax form or whatever,
sure.
and save
Yeah.
on your taxes," because that's another big
And
thing.
yeah,
And
there's nothing wrong with doing freebies for people that you really want to help out, or charities or nonprofits that you really want to help out. Definitely do that if you're just starting out and you are very passionate about a cause and you want to make sure that you do everything you can to help them out. Fantastic. But if some business comes up to you and says, "Oh, well, I need this thing, and I know you just started like 2 weeks ago.
oh yeah,
Just do it to me.
ugh.
Just do it for me for free. No, or do it for $50 or $5 or whatever, like they're going to toss your way, right? No, just don't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that happens in so many creative fields. I can't even believe
Yes.
I see people all the time like, "Hey, if you're an intern or if you just graduated college and you need some portfolio
Hmm.
work, like do work for me for free." And I'm like, dude, I just vomit when I read those things on Facebook. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't believe that. And if you're a business owner,
Yeah.
don't do that. Okay? That's no. Just
No.
pay for what it's worth.
There's
Um,
there's also something to be said for people who go on Fiverr, and I want to mention this because I know that sometimes going to Fiverr is your only option, and
mhm.
I understand that. But if you are a professional and you are asking for professional rates, don't go to Fiverr because that's basically being a hypocrite.
So are people on Fiverr not because I was listening to a podcast the other day in a different
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
and this lady started out kind of doing the $5 thing, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden she was like, "Yeah, I'm just charging normal rates," but the customer base is like ginormous there, and so she's now they do take a big hefty fee, so you're not
Yeah.
getting
And it takes a lot of work
yeah, it
to
takes a
make
lot
a
of
good
work.
living there. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So,
maybe that's not as lucrative as that podcast episode made it out to be.
I always wonder. I have to wonder. And I'm not saying you can't make money on there. You totally can. And you can charge rates that you think are reasonable. But when I look at the people who are on Fiverr, at least in the voice acting area, yeah, you can't charge what you think are the going rates,
Mhm.
but what they think are the going rates are actually probably less than the going rates.
Oh yeah, that makes
Do you know what I
sense.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
like there's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack. I'm not gonna like poo poo all over people who go to Fiverr and who are on Fiverr. It's just like it's a marketplace like any other. But all I'm saying is, if you expect to be paid fair market rates for what you are doing creatively, pay fair market rates to other people doing creative things. That's all I'm saying.
Where is the hand clap button over here? My gosh, I love it. And I think that is so important for people to really and other creators as well. This is the thing that I try to tell content creators and podcasters, live streamers, it's if you see a buy me a coffee pop up, buy someone a coffee like that because that's
Mhm.
building that culture within the industry to say, hey, this is what people do. Like we go buy
Yeah.
coffees, and then that creator goes, oh, I want to give a shout out to Jodi for buying me a coffee. Then they go,
Yeah.
oh, somebody bought you a coffee. I'm gonna go buy you a coffee too. And so it creates this momentum in the industry to really help people out. And so I love that you mentioned that like pay the fair market rate to get the job done, and that way
Hmm.
we can up level the whole industry. And I love that. Like you can tell my love of small business is kind of dripping out here, but I
Of course.
love that talking point.
Yeah, we are all small businesses. I mean, especially those of us who are doing creative things as a solopreneur. That's important. It's important for people to understand that even though you can't hold this product in your hand, it is something worth paying for.
Yeah,
And
well,
yeah,
and I think
creative,
it's yeah, it's
it's
like
hard.
to realize all these things that we're doing every day to get better at. Even this episode, this podcast episode, this live stream show, it didn't happen overnight. Like it's taken lots and lots
Mhm.
of work to figure out this skill and this craft. And I think for people getting into it, just like anything, it's like treat it as a craft and learn the craft. just like if you were going to become a doctor or a lawyer. So I think so many times like we put the stamp of like awesome on a doctor, then like the stamp of like okay whatever on a creator, and it just like I'm like, what are
Yeah,
you talking about, man?
so
It's just
true.
as
Yeah.
hard. Like it's just as complicated. Sure,
Hmm.
if I mess up my skill, I don't kill somebody. I give that to
Good
you. But
point.
otherwise, it's still pretty hard to make
Yeah.
it as a creator in this world and do that kind of stuff. So Jodi, first of all, I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you dropping all this knowledge. And I don't know where I was in the process of getting work, but if there's anything that you want to leave us with or encourage the audience with, if they're looking to get into this, I'd love to give you a few minutes just to share some more of your knowledge. And I want to encourage people to connect with you as well and just really
Mhm.
follow you, because I think success leaves clues, and there's a lot of clues that you leave and a lot of that you give to the world of voice actors and podcasters and live streamers. So if there's something you want to share about kind of the end of the process here, I'd love to let you have that time.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how to find the work, which that's a good option to go locally and figure that out and tell everybody that you know that that's what you're doing. And, referring your colleagues is also a really good way to
Mm-hmm.
make friends. And getting to know people a lot. Really, the voiceover the community that I'm aware of is mostly on Facebook. So I am in a number of Facebook groups. There are a huge number of them. And you can just check out many of those groups and join a few and ask questions there and get to know people. So getting to know your colleagues is a really good thing. There's also a industry association called World Voices. Pardon me, which I believe is at world-voices.org, I believe. But you can look it up. It's just called World Voices. So if you look up the industry association, joining that, there are mentors there. There are all sorts of resources and things like that that you can look into. And it's a good place to
Okay.
be. Hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, world dash voices dot or hyphen. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah.
See, this is why I can't.
Hyphen. Yeah.
This is why I can't read scripts, because I just be like hyphen. No. So yeah, that's an amazing world hyphen voices.org is the website. So make sure you guys go check that out. And I feel like we could talk for days about the business of voiceover, because I feel like we just scraped like the little bit of the surface, because I'm over here like,
Mhm.
what about cartoon work? What animation work? What about this? What about games? What about this? So I know that you
Yeah.
could probably go on for several hours about this industry, and I think it's really neat that you have so much power in your voice to go and create streams of revenue with a microphone. And so what, real quick, because I'm a nerd when it comes to gear, what is the gear that you use, or is there a certain type of gear? How complicated is it? What does that look like?
Well, you can sort of see the booth behind me. There. I'm mirrored. um, the booth is 5x4. It's sound treated. It's not soundproofed. So it's really hard to get something completely soundproof.
Oh yeah.
It can be done, but it's very, very expensive to do. Less expensive, still a little pricey, but less expensive to do a booth that is sound treated. And that inside that booth, I have a Sennheiser 416, which is a shotgun mic, and I'm using an audio interface called the Steinberg UR22C. And that is basic. That and my computer are basically what I use. And I edit on Adobe Audition in the cloud, so the latest version. And I'm on a PC, which isn't the usual. I know that a lot of people are using Macs for audio editing, but I've been on PC since DOS, so I'm used to PCs.
All right. Yeah. Hey, own it. If you love it, go for it.
Yep.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And I think that's another thing that people consider is the microphone. So is it a condenser? Is it picking up everywhere? Or well, you said shotgun, so it's more
It is a shotgun, so it's
directional. Yeah.
very directional. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a condenser mic. Yeah.
Okay.
I,
That's
I
picking up
mean,
all the the clarity. I mean, that's gonna sound. I mean, obviously, it sounds
Yes.
really good. And
Yeah.
I guess these people they're taking it. They're companies. They're producers. Are you shocked when it comes back? Are you like, wow, that they really did too much processing, or do you like really have an opinion, or you're like, thanks for my check, see you later?
I'm kind of like, thanks for my check. Honestly. I mean, it's interesting to hear it. I always love hearing my voice out in the wild. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a restaurant and a television above the bar is playing a commercial I did. Like, that's just cool.
Has anybody ever been like, wait, that sounds like you, like a bartender
Well,
or
my
somebody random?
colleagues do.
Oh, your colleagues, yeah. Dude, now that is a funny, because when I was playing music a lot when I was younger, if I went to a concert, I almost couldn't enjoy it because I was so like caught up in the how to or whatever. I'm not really like that with podcasting as much because I'm more of the like more of the business side of it, trying to generate
Mhm.
revenue, not really the production side. But do you find yourself that way too? Like, oh my gosh, I can't even listen to this anymore. I got to get out of here.
It's less about voiceovers and more about music. It sounds really
Oh,
strange to say,
yeah.
but when I am relaxing, I don't listen to music. I need peace and quiet. That's the weird thing. Like, I'm a singer, right? So you'd
Hmm.
think, "Oh, I'd want to listen to music all the time," but no, I kind of don't. Because what happens for me is I do, like you were saying, I analyze it a lot. And when I'm analyzing it, I can't relax. I
Can't
can't just
relax. Yeah.
listen. Yeah, it
Wow.
gives me a headache.
Now, are you still putting together albums? I know you put your a jazz album out and blues and stuff like that. Are you still working on your music career?
Not really, to be honest. I do a lot of backups for colleagues of mine, friends that want to backup singing. I would do something for a jingle, but again, jingle singing is one of those things where generally they want like a higher voice than mine is. Mine's very alto and like a bit lower register. So, if you want like Katy Perry, you're not coming to me.
That is so
Right?
much
So,
fun. Yeah, that's so
yeah.
funny. Yeah, don't call me. I'm not singing anything. That's for sure. My wife will be like, "Honey, just don't try. We actually need to make money. All right, stop wasting time." Um,
Yeah,
well, Jody, I really appreciate you coming on. I would love to have you back on because I know we could dive into audio branding, and I know you know a
sure.
plethora about just audio in general, way more than what we dove into today. And I got on a little rabbit trail of voiceover because I'm so curious about it. And I think there's a
That's
lot of
okay.
other creators who hopefully they're curious as well and can, and they have those really good voices. Like I even saw some people in the chat where I'm like, that person has a really good voice.
Yeah.
So last question, as I'm landing the plane for the third time here,
Okay.
do you ever find yourself like, you got a great voice, I want to recruit you and teach you this business? Like, do you ever come across those people, or is that not even like, what is it, you know what I'm saying?
Like
Like,
people talking to me saying
yeah,
that
like, well,
or
no, I'm saying like for
or
you
me
as a
saying to
voice,
someone else?
yeah, yeah, you as someone who's in that industry, you're like, wow, you crush it. Like, let me introduce you to somebody or anything like that. Have you ever just had those moments?
It's actually no. And the reason that I haven't is because it's less about the sound of your voice and more about what you do with it. So
Oh,
someone
okay.
who's already a really good actor, yeah, sure. I mean, I can
Oh,
definitely
makes
introduce
sense.
people to the right people. Yeah, I know demo producers out there. In fact, we're having a Clubhouse discussion on that very topic. Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday. I think it's in the schedule, but we have chats Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on Clubhouse in the Power of Sound Club. And one of them is going to be about why get coaching. And so I have a
Oh,
bunch of really well known coaches that are going to be on that panel talking about why it's important to have a coach.
all right. That's
um,
great.
yeah. But no, I don't tend to just hear someone's voice and go, ha ha, I must know who you are. Like, that doesn't happen.
Because it's so funny because I hear people, especially on Clubhouse, on these audio apps, they're like, "Oh, you have a great voice for radio. You have a great voice for voiceover." But what you just said, it's more about the talent or the skill of acting than it is about the
Exactly.
voice. So it's about, like a singer. It's like you can sing, but can you really sing? Can you really control
Can
your
you
vocals? And
emote?
yeah.
Can you make people feel, right? Like that's really what it is. You're trying to make people feel. And when it comes to voice acting, it's a discussion. It's actually a dialogue. The other person, you may not hear that other person, but it is actually a dialogue that you're having with someone else.
Jody,
So
you're blowing my mind right now with all these little, just these little things you're putting in here. I'm like, wow, okay, this is a different way to think about this.
but that's the acting
Mm,
aspect of it, right? Because
mhm.
you have to have a really good theater of the mind to be able to have this script and perform it as if you are actually talking to someone in that moment.
I love this. That's a whole nother topic, the theater of the mind. That's something I hear
Mhm.
in your rooms a lot, and it's definitely something I think that even podcasters can get better at. Live streamers. I mean, we talk to ourselves 90% of the time, so
Yeah.
it's like to have that, to be able to creatively have that dialogue, is very powerful. So that's you got my mind now. You got my mind even more. Where's that emoji at? Where's that emoji?
I
So.
talk in a padded room all day, so yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm looking around.
To
I'm like,
myself.
yeah. Wait a second. Wait a
Yeah,
second.
wait. The only thing missing is the jacket.
I'll get you one for Christmas. I'll send it up to you. Well, Jody, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I believe I've linked all your website and everything in the show notes. So there might be
Mhm.
people listening to this who need your services or want your services. So I want them to feel free to reach out to you, and then also join your clubhouse room on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Is that correct?
Yep, yep. And I hope
Awesome.
listen to the podcast.
And listen to your show, which I'm going to put all that in the show notes there, and I'll make sure I got it right.
Okay.
And really appreciate you being on the show. This is amazing. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. Really enjoyed this.
All right, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining, for jumping in. If you're watching live, thanks for jumping in the chat. I see Adam Triple A Adams. What's up, my man? Good to see you. It's been a minute since I've seen you. So good to see you there. Good to see you, Chris and Jim and Raphael and all the people who jumped in there. Really appreciate that. And you guys go follow Jodi. I'm telling you, she is a wealth of information, as you can obviously tell. And next time I'm going to study a little bit more. That way I can ask better, smarter questions, because I was like, man, I'm an amateur voice actor enthusiast. Not really. But anyhow, so join me Thursday. I'm going to be back Thursday at 4 p.m. with Richard Butler. He has been podcasting, I'm pretty sure, since podcasting became a thing. And so we're gonna jump into the history of podcasting and kind of jump into that and see, someone who's been in there for a long time, what does he think about the start? What does he think about where it's going and all that kind of stuff? So be sure to join me, Richard Butler, 4 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. What's up, Gabe? Says, what's up, everyone? Studying is for nerds, Billy Thorpe. That's right, man. That is right. I love studying. I always learn something new. All right, well, you guys go hit the record button, go create something great, and we'll talk to you soon.